centered breathing practices to begin to bring you to that zoning in. Checking that your weight is equal through the feet. So as you stand centered, check that your knees are unlocked, shoulder blades just rolling off and down to the back. I'm going to start with a movement called a C rotation. So beside your body, just casually without straining, thinking about drawing 2 letter C's on the left and right side of your body. So you're breathing in and out, the pace is your own, you can connect it directly into your breathing, and your letters, the letter C's that are beside you, they could be smallish and they could be largish. So as you breathe and move, try to connect to the shoulder girdle. So that's the muscles of the shoulder joint itself, the sense of the arms being softer on this first movement, and also every time you exhale, just corseting and not allowing, just really avoid the flaring of your ribs. Breathing in and out. So you're looking to create possibly even 20 of this arm move, known as a C rotation. Relaxing the mouth, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth if that helps you stay connected. And the frame of the body is not rigid, but you are connecting inwards to the postural stabilizing muscles. Now that may or may not have been 20, but let's just release now. Take the arms down by the sides. Have a look at the feet, spread out the toes if you've got bare feet. Just come up through the knees and into the hips and create a pelvic circle. Now the circle, just like the C rotations, can be small or large, but you want to think about what else is moving. So notice how knees, ankles, perhaps the spine starts to also feel a little bit different. And it also feels different if those circles are very small as compared to large. And the other thing that feels different is if your knees are bent quite a lot as you create those circles. And remember that you're moving in both directions. And then bring yourself back to what we call pelvic neutral. So check that the hip points are level. There's no shifting of your body forward or back, and you are well stacked above those feet. And then float the arms out to the side, which we call a T shape, of course. Draw the arms forward, roll them in, and then rotate the palms up and come wide. So we're going T, I, and Y, but we're turning the palms at the same time. So pressing down to the T, draw the shoulder blades down the back, unite the shoulder girdle to the pelvic girdle, squeeze in. That can be an exhalation, rotate palms, inhale, coming up to the Y, exhale, and squeeze in. So inhale the Y, and then exhale, press down, T-I. In, exhale, press and draw in. And you know, if you've got any impingement or shoulder injury, just adapt. So everything can be just that little bit lower. So if necessary, your Y can come here, the T can press down, and then the I can come in towards the navel. Okay, so always find that you are in a space which is healing and manageable rather than forcing. And again, if you haven't got weights and you're just making small fists, you might be able to move much faster. Make sure that as you concentrate, you do not lock out those legs. In, exhale, squeeze. And then add in a few more.
happens. Just gotta tap it
And
and then it's
just double checking that everything's got their phone on mute, because I can hear some sounds in the background. Other people in the class might be hearing that as well. So if you don't mind, just double check that you've got your device on mute. Okay, I'm going to move a little bit deeper now into the backs of the upper arms, into the triceps. So turn the weights, bring the heels together into your V stance. So you just create that energy of zipping and hollowing. Breathe in as you float the arms to the height of the shoulders or to the jaw or even overhead. And as you exhale, press the arms back and slightly narrow it off. So at the end of the arm press back, you're feeling a little bit also of your scapular squeeze. Again, if you're here, you might be able to move faster. Inhaling and exhaling as you press through. Or if you want to create that sense of full elongation, the arms will be coming up overhead. But remember that you're not creating a back bend. So in Pilates, you're always trying to be aware of the sense of postural stability. So maybe trying perhaps another 10 reps, breathing in and out, maybe checking in your mirror, eyes to the horizon, crown lengthening. Just being aware of how easy this feels. So if things do feel easy, if movements feel really easy, of course, conditioning means slightly heavier weights or more repetitions. And then adding in the heel raise. So connect again to that zip and hollow, center muscles are strong, float up and release down. So try not to pitch forward. Think about sliding up a wall, come onto the balls of the feet and then landing the feet, connecting the feet, spreading out the toes. So try not to over grip the toes. Inhale, float. Exhale, release. Press back, and if you wish, you can add a little plie. So squeeze through the middle. Float up the wall, balance. Press. Exhale. And if you wish, plie. Try not to lean back. Try not to pitch forward. So it's a slide up a wall. Release, slide down a wall. Other option is to have the legs hip wide and have the knees forward. So again, lifting, releve, pressing down, and then keep the frame steady as you reach back into that arm press, scapular squeeze, float back again, up and down. And actually, if you slow this down, it involves more concentration, a little bit more balancing energy, and more control of your chain of the lower structures, from the toes, feet, ankles, all the way through to that pelvis. Remember to breathe well throughout. Try not to grip in the muscles of the face. And if you are creating that added plie or knee bend, it's the gluteal muscles that are the focus as you lift back into your Pilates standing posture. Okay, shake out the legs. Come to stand in the center at the long edge of the mat and recreate the V stance. And then step to the side and lunge and squeeze back. So it's a step, bend and draw back. Other option is to step to the front diagonal corner of the mat, bend the knee and step back. Step, bend and back, or to the side and back to the side, bend and squeeze back. So have a little practice of your ability to come out to a lunge position, center the shoulders over the pelvis, and then remember that as you draw back, that is the stability action. So step and draw back. And you're not looking at the feet, you're not looking at the floor. Trying a few different angles. As you step and draw back. Okay, and then we're going to add in the arm position. So again, coming into our scapular squeeze energy. Step, extend the arms, but remember that you're keeping all the muscles wrapped around the center, and then draw back. So we're going to do about 6 or 8 on one side. So I'm going to go with the leading right leg. Inhale and exhale. Step strongly and pull back. What you're not doing is landing all your weight onto that right knee. And that's why you are keeping a sense of stable balance, the shoulders above the hips. Take a little breather in between. Shake out the feet, legs and ankles. And prepare for your second side. Alignment, breathing, centering. Remember, you're stepping out now to the left or to the diagonal. Lengthening and squeezing back, coming to that midline. Breathe in, reach, press. Lengthen. Coming into a really good rhythm with your pace of breath and noticing the difference between left side lunge and right side lunge. And on completion again, shake out the legs. With the weights, I'm going to place them onto the shoulders. Bring the feet now hip wide. Once again, connect to perfect Pilates posture. And then release to the side. And in the side bend, pause and breathe. Some of you might find you also want to add an extended side reach. Remember, you're going to connect to the center, pull back, and everything is glossy and smooth. Breathe and move. And once you're in your side bend, check that the shoulder blades are drawn down the back. Note the midline. So start to connect again to the wrapping around of the corsetry, the ribs are not flaring. You might find that your body can bend a little bit further. What's happening in the feet, the knees and the legs, commonly practitioners will twist. So see if you can notice that in your own body, be aware of it, and reunite to that level pelvis. And then check the head is in line and not dropping. Extend the top arm if you wish, but note that the top arm is not pulling you forward. And exhale back as you draw the body back to center. Breathe and notice and be aware of everything that's happening in the lateral. Now, of course, you can move faster. And if you move faster, then your muscles around the obliques, so the muscles around the sides of the waist, might start to tone a little bit quicker. But everybody's different, and you want to be moving in a range and in a way that suits you and at a pace that suits you. If we then want to increase the tonality and strength of that move, we might be bringing the arms up higher or even completely overhead. So you can have cactus, long arms overhead, and then remember that you are remaining within the postural strength and stability. So you're always bringing yourself back to the midline while you contain that strength within your torso from the upper, middle, and lower abs. Now with side bending, sometimes it takes a while for those muscles to come into your awareness, which is why I'm inviting you to maybe try a few different arm positions as you keep connecting in. Okay, let's release those arms now. Roll out the shoulders, pop the weights down near your mat. Hoping you've got a wall, chair or table in the room near you. Bring your body towards that wall, chair or table. Hip wide again. And as you fold from the pelvis, extend forward into your L-shaped stretch. So palms or fingers press into the wall. Lift up through the hamstrings and notice that you are avoiding a hanging of the shoulders. So you don't want to over back bend, you want to just connect into your tabletop back. Press that wall away, breathe in and breathe out. Maybe stay there for about 2 to 3 rounds of breath. And then release and repeat. So just check in with your position. Pelvis aligned with the ankle. So obviously if you're too close to the wall, your bum is going to push right back and your elbows will be soft. And that's not what we're aiming for. You're aiming for a long extended line from the ankles to the pelvis and that spinal line extending through the arms. Couple more rounds of breath. In your Pilates L-shaped stretch, remember that you also might want to bend the knees and lengthen up through the legs. And then we're going to take that position down onto the practice mat. So come away from that wall. Now come down onto your all fours, please. Find that your knees are safe, padded underneath the blanket there. And press the heels of the hands below the shoulders. Or find your method that works well. And as you align the neck and the crown away from the tail, just start to roll the pelvis, tilting it up, finding that extra connection to your back arch, to the lumbar back, shoulder blades draw down towards that lumbar, and then curling, scooping, tilting the pelvis under, curling it under, rolling upwards through the shoulders, and finding a hollow abdomen. Movement that starts in your pelvis can, of course, ripple through to the head and neck, but unlike yoga and Pilates, we do not tend to create a really strong neck extension. So, you know, it's your invitation to your movement as to whether you retain more of a Pilates method in this all fours, or whether you decide to move into yoga cat-cow. But everybody please find a good awareness of that pelvis rolling up and down. Your movements can be very smooth and mild, or they can be quite large and dramatic. You might be walking the fingers a little bit more towards the front of the mat. And you may also want to release back into your shell stretch and just extend through the spine. But we're coming into plank, so reach out through the left and right balls of the feet, squeeze the inner ankles together, and then pop the knees down in a knees down plank. You might want to spread those palms a little bit wider, but before you begin your Pilates press up, squeeze the outer glutes together and the inner thighs, and as they bend the elbows, breathe in. Exhale, smoothly press back. Breathing in to lower. Exhale as you smoothly press back. Tops of feet down onto the practice mat. Pace is your own. You can obviously go a little bit faster if that's better for you. What's more important is quality, not quantity, and finding that you retain good form throughout your Pilates press-ups. And often in Pilates method, we'll do, say, 3 sets. So you might want to do 6, 6, 6, 8, 8, 8 reps. Decide what feels right for you this morning. Explore different widths of the arms, but remember they're stacking well and you are keeping connected to a tabletop back all the way through. Now to find that table back, you do not want to be in that anterior tilt of your pelvis. You've got to be elongated so that you access the pelvic floor, the pelvic core, and the abdominals below the waist. So giving you plenty of opportunity to pause, breathe, reset your alignment, check in with whole body awareness, and to try and refine these movements. Now, once you've completed your repetitions or perhaps your 3 sets, reach the buttocks back towards the feet, connect to that shell stretch again, and then flip over onto your back body. And as you do so, think about the feet lining correctly the heels with your sit bones. And make sure that you've got your hand weights nearby. And once you're laying down, think about the length of your spine and the wideness of your body and center yourself. So finding again your alignment, breathing, centering. Soften your facial muscles. Allow breathing to happen. Note the beds of the toes. Note that your knees are pointing to the sky. And let the pelvis become heavy. First of all, reach the arms down and press them into the earth as if you are using arm press back. So connecting into those triceps, strong pressing of the arms down, and you might want to just have the hands resting onto the weights ready. Breathe in as you breathe out. Curl the pelvis, hollow the belly, press through the feet, and rise into an aligned shoulder bridge. Make sure there's no crushing of the throat, so the chin moves away from the collarbones, and you also want to imagine that centered energy between your inner thighs. When you're ready, take a breath in and coordinate the lifting of the arms. Nothing happens to the pelvis. Feet are grounded, arms come up. They can be at the collarbones. They can also reach a little further overhead. Inhale as you exhale, stay here. And then when you're ready, start to peel your spine down. So again, we're looking at abdominal hollowing, moving from the upper abs, articulating the spine down. The last thing to land is the pelvis and the buttocks. And then exhaling again, press the arms down. Inhale broadly. Arms float up. Exhale, scoop, curl pelvis. Float into your shoulder bridge with full awareness. Steady holding of that shoulder bridge for a breath or two. Note the muscles in the back. Stay strong, stay connected, and then you will be floating down, peeling down, wheeling that spine down on your exhalation. So moving from the breastbone, upper body lands, then it's the back of the waist. You're controlling every movement of that descent, and then your arms reach back down. As you exhale, you've landed into your pelvic neutral on that exhalation. Now you can continue with that movement in sequential breathing style. So rib cage arms, moving up or back into shoulder bridge and out again. Or you can connect to a stronger move, the single leg shoulder bridge. So this time, as you press through the feet, pelvic curl, and roll up into that shoulder bridge, you'll be floating a right knee above your hip. And from here, adding in more strength, take the arms away. Breathe and feel. And then you'll coordinate a lowering of the body, a lowering of the arms, and the foot comes down, all in alignment. Reset the body. Inhale, exhale, pelvic curl, shoulder bridge. Float the left knee above the hip. Keep those arms pressing down into the earth, or choose to reach the arms up into rib cage arms or above the shoulders, and find that you are comfortably aligned throughout your next 6 breath cycles or 6 repetitions. So continue to choose to work into your foundational Pilates shoulder bridge, adding on the extra layers as you find your connections inside. So with single leg shoulder bridge with rib cage arms, or just carrying on with the foundational floating of the bridge, floating of the arms and releasing. And one of the reasons that it's wise to use a slower patterning of movement in a morning shoulder bridge is because so often muscles in the backs of the legs can be quite cold or tight, or even weak or underused. And sometimes cramping, especially in the hamstrings, comes in. One of the reasons you might be feeling cramping behind the backs of the thighs is especially if you are not fully aware of the pressing out of the whole foot. And if your tendency is to push into the heel first, or put more weight through your heel, or even have the front of the foot, the forefoot, where you could slide papers underneath that forefoot, then you're likely to fire up the backs of the thighs first and cause cramping. So really, this position of shoulder bridge relies on a strong awareness into the distance of the feet from the sit bones and your pressing connection into those feet. So I'm going to assume that you've now enjoyed enough of that shoulder bridge and you've really connected to that back line. So next time you release from the one that you're on, reach the arms out into a T shape. Draw the knees into the chest and just massage your back. Just take a little roll side to side and also a pelvic circle. But press your arms down into the earth, because when we don't hold the legs or curl up like this, it involves more connection back into those abdominals. So keep the arms and shoulder blades down and just start to create some circles. And if you're stronger today, reach the legs up like arrows, and the circles can come from long legs. So that adds a little different dimension to the tonality of the practice there. So some of us have got the knees bent and we're just circling around, and others have got the extended legs. Okay, we're all going to now move into hip roll. So knees above hips, tops of the feet may be seen. Squeeze the inner thighs together, shoulders are down. And then as you roll the legs over to the right, pause and pull the navel in and connect to the sides of the waist. This is about the oblique muscles, which you were trying to connect to in the standing side bends. Draw back to center. You can even remove the hands away and bring the upper arms down to mat, so your lower arms are not pressing so much. Rolling the legs to the left, pause and hover, and then squeeze back to that midline. Now again, just like the corkscrew circles, if you have the strength to lengthen your legs like two arrows, then as the legs move over to the right, they come to the top corner of the mat. They don't travel away from you, they hover, and then you squeeze those legs back into the midline. I'm kind of looking over to the screen as if I'm looking into the class and seeing you all in your full concentration, but I'd like you to keep your eyes centered and keep the head centered, so that you just focus on where you can control the range of motion and the strength. And by the way, the hip roll can also be done with your toes down. So you can pop your toenails down and roll the legs over to the left and right and draw back to your center and still be connected to a very strong abdominal core. So there's 3 methods you might want to explore. Exhaling to center. All the way along, really finding maybe a tiny little bit more range of motion, but the shoulder blades slide down your back at all times. Now, completing the one that you're on, and then slide the legs long down the mat, and reach the arms overhead, and just have a full body stretch. And then release back to supine semi and pelvic neutral. Pick up the weights if you'd like to reuse the hand weights. Soften the feet so they've landed onto the mat, but it's as if you're on thin ice. And once again, float the arms up to the collarbones, possibly even to the jawline. But remember that if you're floating the arms to the jawline, you are connecting into your neutral spine and the ribs are wrapping. Breathe in. As you breathe out, lift and curl. Upper body curl up. Long arms reach forward and heavy, heavy sacrum. And then breathing in. Extend the arms above you, or again, take the arms behind. Exhaling, long arm curl up. Reach the fingers towards the bottom of the mat. Once again, for an added extension, float the right knee above the hip as you curl up. And then breathing in, take the arms up and back. Exhale, left knee above hip. Pelvis doesn't rock. Try and lift the body just that little bit higher so you connect more to the center abdominals. Pattern this completely with your breath motion. Pelvic stability as you bring that knee above the hip. It's a single alternate knee fold. And you can continue in that method, moving through your midline, or now change to the oblique method. So arms above the shoulders or rib cage arms as you breathe in. As you breathe out, curl up knee float and direct your body to the right and squeeze the armpit down to the hip on that right side, keeping the knee above the hip and the left pelvis really steady. Floating back, centered. Exhale, curl, move to the outer left thigh. Inhale, center. Exhale, squeeze, lift, upper body curl up and connect to the outer waist as you reach to the bottom of the mat, outside edge of the right thigh. Remember that the Pilates method involves the principle of precision. So I really want you to notice how much you can feel your abdominal muscles, especially in these mat-based practices. You're releasing a long exhalation. You're staying fully connected. Just moving for maybe 4 more sets. And then again, release the arms to the side. Join the feet, knees and ankles together. Relax the arms. Completing this mat base now with an easy floor twist. So just let your legs sway left and sway right. And then roll to the right side. Press the hand down and come up to seated with the right hip on the mat and the legs to the side in a seated mermaid. Stack the shoulders above the hips as best you can. Sitting with the legs flared to the left side. And then as you reach the right palm to the earth, open up into your side bend. See if you can just flare those ribs up towards the sky. So right palm down, left arm over the ear, and then flow to the other side. Left hand down, opening up your right side. Come round onto all fours. Refine plank. Press the earth away. Connect to that center. Squeeze through those inner legs. Swaying forward and back to find the exact powerhouse energy that you need. Remember that the longer you hold on to your plank positions, that represents to you the stamina of your body is increasing, and also it's exceptionally good for the health of our bones. So those isometric holds are so important to your daily practice. When you're ready, release from your plank, come to sit on your second mermaid. So legs flaring over to the right, left hip is on the mat, left arm reaches away. Breathe and enjoy your range of motion in your side bend, in the mermaid side bend, and then lift up and connect to your other side. I mean, notice how easy it is to bring the left arm down and reach over to the right. So that's the freedom in the pelvis, and your right hip is involved there. But when you come up to draw the body over and open the left side, it feels completely different. Note that. Do your best. And then release. And rise up to stand. Now in stand.